Hello, everyone. We're going to look at Hamlet today, which is tragedy at its finest. In order to understand Elizabethan drama, an analysis of one of the finest plays of all time must be done. So let's take a look at William Shakespeare's Hamlet. It's one of the most popular tragedies in Shakespeare's day. It's one of the most adaptable in modern times because it follows Seneca's classical five-part format. In Act 1, there's a prologue that has characters and setting. Act 2, the conflict is established. In Act 3, we have the rising action ending in climax. And Act 4, we have the falling action. And then in Act 5, the denouement, where the tone and the moral is set. It has murder, ghosts, revenge, and a person of high stature falling low. Now I'm going to give a basic synopsis before we go into the analysis. Now, Hamlet is the Prince of Denmark, and his father, with the same name, Hamlet Sr., was just murdered by his brother, Hamlet's uncle. The uncle marries the queen and consolidates his power as king. Now, the father's ghost appears to Hamlet, commands him to seek revenge for his murder. Hamlet agrees to do this, but he also doubts the truth of the ghost. And we see a lot of Hamlet brooding and waiting and acting strangely to try and find out the truth of the murder or not. Now, Hamlet finally takes action near the end, and he discovers the king is guilty. But the problem is, Hamlet hesitates even more. He keeps thinking too much about the consequences of his actions. And in fact, he misses several golden opportunities to kill the king. He mistakenly kills the king's counselor instead. He feigns madness, rejects Ophelia's love, which causes her to commit suicide, and her brother Laertes becomes enraged, challenging Hamlet to a duel. The king then prepares a poisoned drink, and Laertes poisons his sword before the duel. Now, the queen accidentally drinks the poison in the cup, and she dies during their duel. Hamlet and Laertes are both cut by the poisoned sword, and Laertes actually dies from the poison. In a fit of rage, Hamlet finally kills the king before he himself dies. Most of the principal actors on the stage are now dead. It's a complete bloodbath. Now let's look at the structure of Hamlet. Drama can be broken into three basic pieces. We have the beginning or the exposition, which introduces the world. We have the middle or complication, which explores the problem that leads to a crisis, which has an event that will lead to either the happy or the tragic ending that we've talked about. And then finally, the end or the resolution. This resolves the crisis, and it concludes the play as either the tragedy or the comedy. The plot of Hamlet deals with Hamlet's inability to act upon his father's words. First of all, he does not believe the ghost completely, and he tends to wait for the perfect moment, which doesn't come, and when it does, he waits some more. Thus, the crisis comes very early in the play. Hamlet finds out at the very beginning his father has been murdered. Then the complication enters, and he attempts to confirm the murder. Then the crisis is heightened when he confirms his uncle's guilt, and finally the resolution is solved through the duel at the very end. They offer a look into the minds of his greatest characters. So let's look at the Soliloquies of Hamlet. These are the gateways into Hamlet's very nature. The plot of the play deals with Hamlet's inability to act upon his father's murder. Hamlet is all too aware of his inaction. If inaction is his hamartia, then there must be a reason for it. So I'm going to read Hamlet's words in the original, and then I'm going to show a rough modern translation next to it. So as I read it, you're able to follow along in the actual real modern day English to kind of get a sense of what's being said. Act 3, Scene 1. Scene: no one knows the origin of Hamlet's madness. The king and Polonius hide behind a curtain as Hamlet approaches alone, while Hamlet contemplates suicide. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To die, to sleep, no more. And by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scores of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy take, when he himself might be quietus make with bare bodkin? Who would fardels bear, to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will? That is the analysis of Shakespeare's Hamlet. I hope it was informative to you and you were able to learn something from it. Until then, I'll see you later. Bye.